magpies are already at it. You can tell it's dawn. Early morning here. Want to make a full day of it. Got a lot of exciting stuff to do. Need to get a lot of work done. I bought these from a communal garden. You may have watched the previous video. So I've got myself a potluck unknown variety grape, an unknown variety fig, and an unknown variety quince. Sometimes getting these plants out of grow bags can get a bit tricky, but this one, the figs come out okay. We've kept it pretty damp. You can see that the roots are pretty impacted down here. It needs to be really teased in, so I just want to get them transferred into these pots, just to really give them a good chance to get on well. This quince, the roots are coming right out of the bottom. Yeah, that one really needs to go in there. Get these out of the way. And the grape. It's in pretty solidly too. I really want to get these established and give them a good chance. So next spring, when I'm trying to grow them on, we'll get a really good opportunity for these guys to do well. So I'm going to top these up with potting mix and then I'll get them into my hothouse. A little bit of interesting story from my hothouse. I bought some seedlings I'll talk about in a minute to get a bit of an earlier start in the veggie garden. Come out this morning and one of them's already been half eaten down by the possums, which just goes to show my propagation house really needs to get finished. Anyway, I'll get on with doing this. Right, they're ready to go. Also want to get these strawberries moved as well, which I also picked up yesterday. My last strawberries in the garden were probably 3-4 years ago. So been a long time. These are just a standard sweetheart variety. Might put a bit more in there. A lot of safety messaging on using potting mix. Not big on that stuff. I don't know. That's probably unwise, but there you go. So I'll just get these into position. Got a couple of plants there, but I'm not going to tease those out yet. We'll wait and do that later. This is just to get strawberries back into my garden. They haven't been, as I said, for a long time, so really want to make sure they do all right. Beautiful morning. Sun must have just got to that point where the magpies have stopped singing, welcoming the sun. It's an incredible thing. At the start of my videos, you obviously hear the call of a magpie. It's really synonymous with this place, and just recently too, because the seasons are changing here and birds are migrating. We're hearing a lot of other birds, Australian birds like corellas and cockatoos, and even kookaburras have started coming back to the river back behind our place. There you have it. Look at that. Nice strawberries. We're looking forward to those next year. Have a look at that. These were beautiful plants until the possum got to them. But they're okay. I'm going to grow them on. We'll see what happens. I've also picked up some Brussels sprouts. These things are my arch enemy. I don't think once, very small sprouts. Where we live, it's a bit marginal for this kind of plant, but last go, last opportunity for sprouts. So I'll see how I go. A month or so ago, if you watched the channel, you probably remember that I did a video on building this garden bed, or more correctly, rebuilding it. The whole purpose of this was to have two sub-compartments in the bed. One there, one over here. And the reason for that was I'm rebuilding the patio roof over the top of my potting shed. And I'm going to build it as a growing frame for a climbing plant underneath polycarbonate. So it's got some protection, primarily from the possums that I've talked about before. So what I've decided to do, I've thought a lot about it, is I'm going to have another go at kiwi fruit. Again, kiwi fruit are a little bit like Brussels sprouts for me. I've had virtually no success with kiwi fruit over the years. I've had a couple of goes in this property and in my previous property, come up with zip beforehand. When I first met my wife, I lived in a lovely old house, and the people who owned that house had put in a kiwi vine, and it was just beautiful, sitting there having some breakfast, being able to reach up and pick a fresh kiwi for your breakfast. I'm trying to make a few more healthier decisions in my life. You wouldn't know it by looking at me, but that's what's happening. And the end result of that is kiwis are going to be a big part of it. I'm going to succeed this time. I'm putting the female plant in this side. It gets a little bit more sun. But what I think with this plant is it's going to need that from this soil load. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit more of the native soil, which unfortunately is a little bit dry, but you have to keep in mind that these beds were set up as hugelkultur beds. So below in this little compartment chamber, there's a lot of green material that's rotting down. The level will drop a little bit, so I'm going to top this up with just potting mix and a bit more compost, and then I'll come back to it. This one's in. Now, there are two aims to start getting it to climb up here, which I'm sure it'll do pretty quickly. I'll get the male in, and then I've got to work out a way to protect it from the possums for a while. That's going to be tricky. Anyway, next step, onwards and upwards. Now I'll give them a good water in. Let that soak down, top it up again. So, some of the walls are up. Been a few distractions today, so haven't quite been able to commit as much time on the build as I would have liked to. But the polycarbonate is predominantly in. It's getting close, getting close. I've got a leek here coming up from old leek rootstock. This was one of the two leeks that I kept for seed. Obviously some residual roots are there and it's breaking through. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to see how it goes. The hothouse is really coming on now. Got the last of the walls are all in, and now the roof. I'm starting to get some framing in for the next level of shelves that'll go around and rim the edge of the entire bed. So I'll have propagation shelves basically all the way around. It'll give dappled light down into the beds down below for things that really grow well but need a little bit of shade, and for things that just want heat, not necessarily bright light. Anyway, that's going to be about it for this weekend. A lot of yard work today. It's another warm day, but really pleased to have got this far. See you next time. The sprouts are in. You will not fail me this time, sprouts.